Crazy Rich Asians, which, other than some vague stories of its success in America, I didn't really have much of a frame of reference for. I think I'd been anticipating that crazy and rich were entirely separate adjectives, but for most of the people we meet in this rom-com, they're crazy rich, as in the eat the rich sort of way. Not that I'm suggesting we resort to cannibalism. Not yet, anyway. This is getting away from me. Right, I'm going to start again. Constance Wu's New York-based professor of economics Rachel Chu deals with more than she bargains for when her boyfriend, Henry Golding's Nick Young, asks her to go back to Singapore with him for his best friend's wedding. As part of this, she'll need to meet Nick's family and friends, who, unbeknownst to Rachel, are the super wealthy quote-unquote elite of Pan-Asia. Apparently lying about his background for a couple of years is just a hurdle we need to get over for a film to occur, so Rachel goes with Nick's explanation of not wanting preconceived notions or expectations of the wealthy to get in the way of the relationship. Sure, seems legit. As it happens, it's pretty much accurate, as with only a few exceptions, such as Nick's best friend, Chris Pang's Colin Koo, and fiancée Sonoya Mizun's Araminta Lee. They are a hostile shower of stuck-up brats who will be first against the wall when the revolution comes, and this is getting away from me again. Nurse! In particular, Nick's icicle-based mother, Michelle Yeoh's Eleanor Sung Young, refuses to warm to Rachel, and before long starts playing the duty to your family, take over the family business cards, while Rachel struggles to fit in amongst the quote-unquote high society she now finds herself in. She's helped by old college roommate, Awkwafina's Gopek Ling, whose family is merely very, very rich, and needlessly weird for comic relief and pacing reasons, rather than the super hyper-rich douche nozzles that the rest of the film features. Now, apparently I'm still too much Occupy Wall Street to give this much of a fair recap, so let me shortcut this by saying it's the exact same fish out of water, remain true to yourself story arc that's been seen about 1 million times before, but transplanted to a relatively novel setting. Replace the Asian super rich with the American super rich or the British aristocracy, and I'm sure this all starts to sound quite familiar indeed. But just as I can't discount the real positives of cultural representation this has had amongst the Asian American community in particular, and of course Asian British and Asian / any other culture I assume, just as Black Panther had amongst the African American community. But this is at best a coat of paint over a well-worn formula, and really the only culture this is reflecting is that of wanton excess. I'm far too far to the left to condone that sort of thing. Aspirational? Well, I agree with the first syllable. My politics aside, which to be honest I'm only giving rein because there's not that much else interesting to talk about in Crazy Rich Asians, it's an entirely adequately put together film. John M. Chu's direction is workmanlike, but with locations this fabulous it's hard not to make something that looks great, and the cast are, to be honest, much better than the script deserves. Constance Wu and the always reliable Michelle Yeoh carry the central struggle well, and satellite characters and storylines are all as obnoxious or sympathetic as is demanded, if not fleshed out well enough for my liking. Gemma Chan's Astrid in particular is lumbered with a totally angelic Mary Sue of a character that apparently is some sort of counterweight to the general the rich are awful vibe that goes way too far in another direction, and it is to Chan's great credit that the character feels at least somewhat real. Much as in Ocean's 8, Awkwafina steals the scene that she's in, and even Ken Jeong is less annoying than usual. Overall, this review is perhaps a little bit more negative than my thoughts were when leaving the cinema. I don't think this film stands up to any analysis particularly well, but as a formulaic rom-com, it's perfectly fine. The central relationships are charming enough, at least the setting is unfamiliar if the story isn't, and there's enough funny moments to keep it ticking along. In fact, it is fine. I'm glad that people get enjoyment from it, and assuming the jaw-dropping Wikipedia factoid about this being the first film by a major Hollywood studio to feature a majority Asian American cast in a modern setting since the Joy Luck Club in 1993 is correct, it's churlish to complain at all. Yet, still I do. An entirely adequate film. If you're in the mood for a rom-com, this is a very decent choice. But yeah, I find it hard to get particularly worked up about it.
Yes, I find it hard to find any particular enthusiasm for it in what you're saying. To be honest, I'm more fighting my own particular urge to make some sort of wanton excess overeating joke in reference to what you said earlier, which I suppose I technically have done now. But yes, it sounds like it would probably be entirely fine if very verging a bit too close to Richard Curtis territory. And it's not really a film I particularly care to see, and I have nothing to say.
Fair enough.